Got another video coaching review for you. This one is from Tate. Tate is a relatively new recurve archer who's working on a lot of different form things, and I'm going to sit down here in front of my computer and critique his form and give him a feedback in the form of a video coaching review. If you're not familiar with that, I will have links in the description below and a card at the top up there to my website, Kaminski.com, where you can check out more information on what video coaching reviews are and what it takes to send your video in for me to respond. Tate is a patron of mine, and he sent it to me through the Own the Podium program that I have through that, which includes a monthly video coaching review, and he graciously is allowing me to use this content on my channel. So thanks to him massively. And if you're interested in becoming a patron or submitting a video coaching review, you can either head to jkaminski.com or to Patreon in links in the description below. Anyway, thank you, and we'll get right into it.
You're watching the Tate Kaminski YouTube channel.
Hey there, Tate. Sorry about the delay. We'll get right into your video. So, yeah, after going and seeing some of your other previous posts and stuff and people back and forth, they're all about right as far as what they've said, but I still think you're opening your jaw, only because it's not just your lips, because you move your lips through there, but then if you watch, the distance between the bottom of your jaw and your nose grows right there. You're still opening your jaw. So it may be closed by the time you get to full draw potentially, but I would be very concerned that it may not sometimes due to old habits. Now, you did talk about the top of the tab plate causing anchor issues. It definitely is because your hand isn't underneath in the jaw as much. I know you said you were experimenting with that and saw the string go to the left due to your head being kind of like this. So you need to adjust the head accordingly to make sure that that works out just fine. Something to be aware of, just so you know, is the hat. So any time the string is touching your hat, it will cause a little bit of a disturbance in the actual flight path of the arrow, especially if sometimes the hat's touching more so than not, or completely not touching other arrows. It will cause a variance in the impact point, mostly up and down in my experience. But it's just something to be potentially careful of itself. Now, as far as the actual position you're in at full draw, your draw length is pretty dang close, although be careful of that one shot that Ryan kind of drew the thing from. Right here you can see your spine's vertical, nice and straight up and down. So let's see what happens as we go forward. Let's use this tree as a reference in the background for your head. And you can see it kind of picks up a little bit, but what's going on is this curve here. So trying to stay more forward balanced. What that will do is it will actually lower the shoulder considerably, because as you've found, it is a little bit elevated. I can see you got a lot of tension up here in the levator scapula area. I don't know when that came in. Let's see. Kind of at the top of the lift, you're using a lot of this upper trap to do that lift, and you can see it kind of hike up right there. Part of that, though, is that rib cage shifting, where the bottom edge of the rib cage and your solar plexus kind of shifts like this, and that's what kicks out that rib cage, which raises the shoulder up even higher. And then as you're drawing around, the shoulder in the back is dropping, which is normal, but as it drops, the rib cage shifts even more. And so that's causing this overly elevated stuff that's going on, so then it's natural to want to hike this shoulder up to try to balance this position, whereas if you're down like this, it will feel a lot more natural compared to this, and it will automatically lower that shoulder. So you got to go from here to here, trying to get into this position. And you can do it without a bow in front of a mirror, just like this, just like I was watching myself, because my eyes aren't on the camera. If I'm here, I can go to here, but I can watch myself on video and see this, and then try to get into that position. And I'm not shifting my hips, not moving my feet. It's purely just in this positioning here. So it's not necessarily that the shoulder's too high. It is too high, but what the real cause of it is the motion that you use to raise the bow, the rib cage lifts up. See this? It lifts up. And then the rear shoulder rotates and contracts down, which makes it even worse. And as you draw, you can see that front shoulder really hike up. It doesn't actually hike up all that much. It's just that rib cage just shifts and tilts. I dealt with that in the beginning when I first moved out to the training center. Mine would pop out more to the front. And it was all just core strength and overall body control. So doing, planks is important for sure. There's another thing that you can do. It's called a pay-off hold. Actually, I'll just show you really quick. If I was you, I would do this. Excuse the mess in my son's bed in the background. We're transitioning into a few different areas of the house, but a pay-off hold would be a stretch band. These are just stretch bands attached to something solid, like you close it in the door. And what you want to do is stand far enough away that you can get some tension. And my feet are pointed similar to, like, say if the attachment point is the like the target butt, basically. So if that was the target butt, my hips would be pointing similar to how I'm shooting. And so I'm not facing it like this. I'm, facing that way. And what I'm going to do is arms straight, both arms together like this, and just straight out and hold at chest, shoulder height like this, and just hold for 30 seconds. You have to engage the core, and you have to lock down. You can't be in this position, and you definitely can't be here because it's all crooked, straight torso. And you do that way for 30 seconds, turn around, and do it this way for 30 seconds. And you'll see as I do this, again, I'm not kicking here, and I'm also, not arched back. It's just arms straight, rotate, and hold it. I think that will probably give you a lot of control and a lot of strength in the actual system itself. So hopefully that'll help you there. But like I said, if I was you, that's what I would do. That'll help with that. Outside of that, still got a little bit of excess hand tension in the front that I can see because you got those fingers just kind of a little cranked up a bit there. Those middle fingers are like this in the grip instead of relaxed down. Try to push them against your palm. See what happens. See those fingers, and they move on release. Let's see here. Yeah. That bow hand, as you release, it pops a lot to the right, and there's a lot of manipulation going on. You can see that bow move dramatically to the right. I know you were having issues with left to rights. At least that's what I remember seeing. A lot of comments, questions, things like that. But you can see how much from... Let's get the clicker back up. I don't remember if I can see it click from this position. Yeah. So I can see it back here in this little window where the tree is. It's not clicked yet. That's clicked. I can see right there. Clicker clicks. From here, watch how much, as I go forward in time from the clicker clicking, watch how much the body moves. Forward in time, forward in time, forward in time. So you got a collapse on the back side going on, only because I can see the elbow, excuse me, in relation to the trees. Go forward, and that causes this bow to move to the right. That's that causing that. Let's see if we can get it from the back side and see what happens. That way we can actually see the clicker clicking. So you can see that clicker is dropped. So you can see the shoulder. Watch the shoulder as you go forward in time. See how it moves forward? And even the shoulder, this rear shoulder heads this way, which causes the bow to move that way. So it's just, you're fighting everything about the shot. You got a lot of tension in this wrist. I know that you've been working on that as well. Let's see how you draw the bow. You have a lot of motion down with the shoulder, but not a lot of motion around with the shoulder. Not sure where that would be coming from necessarily, but I think a lot of it just has to do with overall elevation of the shoulders. For whatever reason, you do tend to lift those shoulders up See how high it comes up instead of staying down? So I would work with the stretch band to try to keep the shoulders down as you go to lift, and then start the rotation with the torso and then pull with the shoulder around you, not depressing downwards. This depressing down is going to cause a lot of shaking, probably will cause a lot of shoulder soreness as well if I had to guess. But you can see that you've got just this tension built up into the wrist system that you've already discussed previously, because that shoulder didn't really move around. I don't even know what you're necessarily pulling with as you do that. It's like you're engaging more lat, almost, serratus, and maybe subscap, more so than rhomboids, deltoids, and trap muscles. So move that shoulder around, not down. Start with them lower. You'll have a lot less tension here. And then when you go to fire the shot itself, you won't be struggling so much. But I can see that even as you're pulling through the clicker, see how it depresses. You come up into anchor. As you're going through the clicker, this shoulder is heading this direction already, not this direction. It needs to be heading around and behind you, which would then push this shoulder down and forward. But what's happening is you can see it's creeping this way, and then as the shoulder breaks, or the shot breaks rather, really comes this way, and the hand just kind of pops down and around. Your ultimate finish point from anchor, look at the relationship here and how far this elbow is. You can use that tree as a reference point. As the shot breaks, where you stop yourself, it just comes down. It's not coming around any, because you're not pulling around. You're pulling exactly what that elbow is doing after the shot, down, and then you catch yourself and then falsify that kind of release with more just the hand than anything else. But it's just showing everything about the reaction of the shot. The movement after, even before the clicker clicks, to the release, to the follow through. Bow moves to the right, head moves out, shoulder just moves down and out, not in and around. All of that just shows a collapse in the release itself, because you didn't build up the tension correctly beforehand. So trying to, like I said, lift the bow, not so high as shoulders. Even if you started high, that would be okay. Get them down to about this position, not even lower than that, and then it should start to move around, but instead it just continues to move down, and it doesn't use or engage the back as it should. That's causing pretty much all of the issues that I believe you're struggling with here. And it's just, you're better than the very first video you sent, but it's still, you have a lot of those habits to be outside and hanging onto the bow instead of being more compact and more engaged with the larger muscles in the system itself. Again, the mouth being open. And there's just, you need to spend a little bit more time engaging the back, rounding with the shoulder, leading and pulling around and behind you, not depressing down. That's going to make a big difference. The elbow's much better. That's pretty much fixed, so that's good. It's just this, that there is just showing that you're not pulling around the central axis of your spine. The spine needs to be the pivot point for all the main motions, all the main things that you do to draw the bow back, and really engage and rotate around a central point, leading with that shoulder, reaching forward with the bow arm, and locking it into position and keeping that same tension coming around as you go to expand. I think it's a habit you've got to drop that shoulder down and it just causes all sorts of difficulty for you. It just doesn't look easy to shoot. If you can figure out how to lead with the shoulder and rotate around a central point, leading with that shoulder, you're going to go from, it will feel like you're cheating if you can get into the position and do the movements correctly. I would really encourage you to check the one video that I made about the overhead alignment, how to pull the bow back, and you'll see me doing a lot of this type of stuff from overhead. Try to use that video. The one video on how to draw your bow back easier. It's a thumbnail of me facing away from the camera with an arrow pointing at my back shoulder, leading with that one. That one will be good. Really just try to make things efficient for yourself. And the way that you can get there is not lifting with the shoulders, keeping them low. And then as you hit the top of the lift, start to rotate around the central point of your spine as the pivot point. Once you hit that, then the shoulder just moves around and behind you and continues going that way until you hit full draw. You lock it into position, come up into anchor, and then when you go to expand, it's the same motion you use to pull. That back shoulder moving around and behind you, which will then make this front bow shoulder move forward through the collarbone and reaching to the target, and then you continue that motion, and it'll fix everything. If you can just fix that, it'll completely change your shooting. It'll completely change the way it feels. It'll make it so easy to the point of where you feel like you're cheating. You'll be far more stable at full draw. You won't be wobbling all over the place. And as you go to release the string, it's just going to be super crisp. You're not going to move, and your scores will just completely destroy what you're doing right now. You just got to get to that point of where you can keep the shoulders down again, rotate around the axis of the spine, lead with the shoulder, lock it, keep it into anchor, use the same motion to set the clicker off, and it just will work so much easier for you. Like I said, start with the overhead alignment video, the shoulder pointing arrow thing, saying, use this to pull back. If you can't find those videos, send me a message. I'll send you the links. But yeah, like I said, I can see you're making progress. It's just you're kind of floundering around, not finding the right path forward, which is normal for people who are trying to do this on their own with limited coaching. It's just, I hope that you can see where you need to fix this after this explanation of keeping control of the shoulder height, keeping control of the rib cage tilt. Again, Palloff holds are huge. You can search those as well. Palloff holds, I believe. Could be wrong. And go from there. Like I said, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, keep it up. You just gotta figure out how to make this easier for yourself, because once you do, it'll dramatically change your shooting experience. So take care.